This video relates to a question I had about a year ago. I answered the question already in a video, but I feel like some folks need this at this moment. A lot of people go to deliverance ministries to be delivered. I already explained to you, don't put your trust in deliverance ministries. Deliverance is found when you agree with Christ. It's only there that there is real deliverance. But why do folks put their trust in deliverance ministries? Because deliverance ministries, they offer extended relief from generational curses. A generational curse is violence that's been transferred over more than 2 generations. Okay? So if you had John, who used to drink a lot and scream at his wife, he has kids, and those kids grow up in this tension. The wives, because some of the daughters of his marry, they become wives, and as wives they think they need to have the upper hand to prevent their husband from going off at them, because they saw what happened to their mother. And then they go off at their husbands. She has kids, and her son grows up thinking it's alright for a woman to go off at him. So when he's the husband and his wife goes off at him, well, you see what's going on there. It's transferred from generation to generation. It's generational dysfunction that people can't see for what it really is. Dysfunction is so common in a population, people can't really see it as a dysfunction anymore. For example, if you would go to, let me say, if you would go to Sweden, for example, and you buy a big piece of ham, and you cut out the edge of the ham and put it in a pan, the Swedes will look at you and think, huh? You wasted big portion of ham. Why? If you grew up somewhere in poverty on the Bahamas or in the Caribbean, then, and you had just a small pan, then that was the thing to do. You had to cut off at the edges of the ham. But it was dysfunction due to poverty. But if dysfunction became so common, people tend to see it as normal. It's just the way it is, even though it's still a dysfunction. When it comes to generational curse or transgenerational violence or generational dysfunction, the only way it's going to stop is when you see through it and refuse to participate in the pattern. Because generational curses is not your fault. You did not cause it. You inherited it. But just because you inherit something doesn't mean you have to receive the inheritance. An example, let's say that you had a grandfather who owns a factory somewhere in New Zealand. And I'm just making up a story now to teach you. You had a grandfather who owned a factory in New Zealand, and you find out after your grandfather passed away 10 years ago, he left it to you. His will was kept hidden from his relatives, because even the people that worked at the factory were not aware that he passed away. You guys were aware of it, but the people in New Zealand didn't know about it. And the reason is that this factory has many debts. It has over 8 million New Zealand dollars in debt. But now you hear that you're the one in line to receive the factory. If you receive the factory, by New Zealand law, you would also inherit the debts. And even if, for some reason, you would be able to not receive the debts because the debts belong to your grandfather, the people that credited your grandfather still want to see their money. And they don't care if by law they can't charge you. They've still suffered a loss and they want something to compensate their loss. And not only that, your grandfather also didn't pay everyone well while they were working in the factory. So you also have a lot of angry people that associate their rage with that factory. So if you inherit that factory, if you receive the inheritance, you'll have to put up with mobsters assaulting you. You have to put up with all kinds of psychic attacks, because there are a lot of people angry at that building and the ones that own that building. So should you receive that inheritance, it may not be a good idea. The same it is with generational curse, or you can call it transgenerational violence or generational dysfunction. Just because inheritance has been transferred onto you doesn't mean you have to receive it and operate in it. There are some things that you inherit that you need to forfeit. If you inherited the English language because your ancestors spoke English, there's nothing wrong with that. If you inherited skills, you didn't inherit it genetically, but culturally you inherited the skill to fish because most of the people in your region, they're fishermen. Okay, that's different. Or if for the past generations your relatives have been into trade and you know how to operate in trade, there's nothing wrong with that. But if there are things that you received from your ancestors that's self-destructive or they go against Christ, then you need to forfeit it. And it's not just things like wife beating or child abuse that's transferred from generation to generation. Also things as cowardice can be transferred. For example, in the Netherlands you have this direct culture, and a lot of foreigners say the Dutch people are very direct. Some people even call it rude. And it comes down to the following. You don't want to put up with emotional pain because your will is frustrated, so you act out that pain so people know that that your will is violated. And at least you feel as if your will is violated because something happens that you don't want, and now you act out that frustration. Everyone knows, I don't want this. All about me. All about relieving yourself from having to deal with frustration. And why do you do this? To control the other so that you can have your way. People see this as honest. It's not. Because someone that's honest would examine themselves and the situation and see what's proper and what's the best. But no, the shortcut to be relieved from something is just to act out, throw it out. If you, for example, if you have emotional pain because you have an expectation that is not met and you're hurt, it's your expectation, so you need to accept that expectation and be delivered from it. But the easiest way is to project that hurt or that pain onto someone else, and now you don't like them because you put them in the next category, and now you act out that negativity against them so they know, I don't like you, I can't stand you, I don't want to see you around here. What's going on? You are relieving yourself from the anxieties that come from your own way of thinking. Is that honest? No. You expect others to put up with your will no matter how self-destructive or how hindering your will is. It's your will, you have your reasons. But the moment someone else does something that goes against your will, now is World War III. Now, you can't just forgive. Now, you have to remember them, you have boundaries. That means you have self-inflicted limitations in your mind that you expect them to honor. You see how narcissistic this is? But a lot of Dutch folks, they can't see this for what it really is. They think that direct is just the way to do things. Now look, if you are a police officer and you're dealing with hardened criminals, then you need to be direct because you're dealing with people that are violent. Or if you are in business and you have to make sure that nobody takes advantage of your business, then you can be direct. But it's only a tool. But in daily life, even people close to you, just being direct, throwing out your will and expect others to deal with that will, that's irresponsible, that's narcissistic, and in some cases even wicked. Because those same people just throw out their will, when you call them out on their will, they tend to go off at you like rabid dogs, like raging swine. And some of those folks may even attack you, assault you, even kill you because they can't handle it that you challenge their will. So now you need to walk on eggshells to make sure nobody gets pissed off. Well, you know what? I'm not into that. I'm not into that at all. That's a transgenerational violence that's common in the Netherlands. Now, in each region, you have a type of transgenerational violence that's being transferred. You have generational dysfunction everywhere in the world. It's just that often you don't see the generational dysfunction because it's not that obvious. It can be, for example, that in a region, maybe Japan or someplace Southeast Asia, people often work hard. If you work smart and work efficient, that's good. But work hard, that goes at the expense of you. But people are so into working hard. Where does working hard come from? It comes from guilt towards the community. And this guilt is transferred from parent to child, childs become parents, and they transfer also. And they think by working hard, you're proving that you are valuable to the community. So a lot of people began to work hard, work hard, work hard, and many become workaholic. They die before their time, or they get diseases, and they neglect their families. And now you have the next generation who suffer this dysfunction. Now they operate in that dysfunction. Now they also think we need to do better than them and contribute to the community. There's nothing wrong with contributing to the community. But now, instead of contributing to the community, they are self-destructive within the community. But they think they're contributing. And that's how the transgenerational violence keeps going. It's a loop. Okay. It still works, okay. But look, when you're dealing with transgenerational violence, it comes down to this. It's a pattern in a loop, and the only way out is out. It's one thing to say, I don't celebrate Christmas because it's a pagan origin. A lot of people do that. You have Muslims that don't celebrate Christmas because it has a pagan origin, and also because it's not part of their religion. You have Buddhists who may not celebrate Christmas for other reasons. That's an external refusal. But what about the internal agreements? You can refuse things externally as much as you want, but if you internally are in a strong agreement that goes against Christ, you're operating in a mental stronghold. And when you're in a mental stronghold, you're part of that loop, the transgenerational violence. So the only way out is out. You ought to be delivered. You ought to be renewed in your mind. Well, that's it for now. Keep agreeing with Christ and be at peace.